Regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, held June 7th, 2016, at 6 p.m. at the Council Chambers Building. City Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Howdigy.
Here.
Councilmember Pratt.
Here.
Vice Mayor Piper.
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Here. And Pledge of Allegiance. Debbie Althouse is going to lead us tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The next item is a brief summary of current events by the mayor, city council, and/or city manager. And the public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during this summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. Okay. So, start out with the city manager, please.
Madam Mayor, council members, just to let you know that Tilted Earth is not this weekend, but the following weekend, 17th and 18th, and ticket sales are moving along at about $12,000 a week, and they do expect to sell quite a few tickets, so if you haven't bought your tickets, you may want to get those. Mostly for the public who's interested, we have 3 open seats on our library board. 2 can be from outside of the city, and there's 1 available inside the city. Also, our police chief, the chamber, and Old Town Mission have been working on a homeless forum to discuss the issue of homelessness in Cottonwood, and that'll be June 22nd. 6 p.m. at the Rec Center. For anybody who's interested, there'll be a panel and a discussion about that issue. And just a reminder, everybody, we have all kinds of great kids' summer programs, reading programs at our library, swim programs, camp programs. So please come and take advantage of it. That's it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Council members, Mr. Pratt?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everyone that in conjunction with the Tilted Earth Festival, there's a special dinner on June 16th at Blazing M Ranch, at a wine taster's dinner, and they pair food with wines. And once again, I remind people that registration for the fall semester, Yavapai College, is open. We've created, I think, a really good schedule for you folks, and we invite you to come on up and enroll. We'd like to see you on campus.
Great. Sounds good. And what about the kids' school program?
The kids, College for Kids is going great guns. I believe we had over 200 kids on campus, and they are keeping quite busy, and it looks like it's a success once again.
Great. So this is the second year, I think, that it's come back after a hiatus of 1 or 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, it's the second or third year back after we took it off, and it's a very popular program.
It is. Lots of kids enjoy that. That's good for them. Any other items, council members? We collaborated, the city collaborated with the Arizona Tech College, and they had a Verde Valley College Expo, and I ran in and checked it out, and they had lots of different entities. They had a truck driving school there. They had different health opportunities, and Yavapai College was there and had quite a few folks that were there to help people with questions. So I think it was a positive event, and I would like to thank our city manager, Doug Bartosh, and Richard Faust for helping make those arrangements for that collaborative project. The Veterans Memorial that we are all working on and the city has donated land for continues. I think that the Gatlin Brothers concert was fairly successful. We came out ahead, and just before the concert, we were a little bit worried about the number of tickets that we had left, but I looked that evening and it was pretty much, there were some empty seats, but it was fairly well attended, and we're very proud of the community's support for that. And all of the veterans in the club are getting very excited about getting a flag up. The council had approved a 65-foot flag, and it turned out that because of who is building it, it could only be 60 or 70. And so they took it back to the county, and Supervisor Davis said that it had gone before the whole Board of Supervisors. So I believe Richard is working. You want to give a little update on that? Okay. Richard is working on that right now with them.
Madam Mayor and Council, the issue was also time duration. By the time they actually could get a 65-foot flagpole, which was originally identified by the county last year about this time of the year, as well as with city staff, as long as it was okay with the county, it was all right with planning and zoning. Therefore, it was authorized. The biggest issue is if the flagpole were to fall over, is that according to planning and zoning regulations, is that it cannot fall over into another property unless it's okayed or authorized by that property owner, which that's why we went to the Yavapai County Board of Supervisors. We went ahead, the 65-foot pole would have cost approximately $7,000 more than a 60-footer or a 70-footer. And so they decided to go up 5 feet, request that from the County Board of Supervisors. County Board of Supervisors met on their June 1st meeting on consensus item, and it was authorized.
Okay, so it has
we
been
went ahead
approved.
and went back then to planning and zoning. They did the same thing along with the city manager. So that's for the direction that it went. We'll be letting the Verde Valley Military Service Park folks know tomorrow in their meeting that they can proceed. And I think their plan is at this point in time is to move forward within about the next month to month and a half to get those poles set, and especially the American flag pole.
Right, they're very excited about, they're just raring to go on that. And
are.
I would like to say that APS has volunteered to be a project collaborator on
Yes.
it, and we'll be digging the hole, and Luke Sefton has engineered it so that it won't fall down.
Right, and we'll be getting plans from the engineering firm of Sefton Inc., which is Luke Sefton's company, and Luke will be providing those for us. And then same thing with Keith Newton. He is the project manager. And so with Keith Newton, we'll be getting all of the engineering specifications and construction information directly to Public Works so that they can observe it and have their engineering stamp on it as well.
Thank you
Thank
for that
you.
update. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to the next item is the call to the public. This portion of the agenda is set aside for the public to address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda for discussion. However, the council cannot engage in discussion regarding any item that is not officially listed on the agenda for discussion and action. Comments are limited to a 5-minute time period, and we have Nancy Gottschalk today that would like to speak to the public.
Hi, yes, good evening. My name's Nancy Gottschalk, and I'm here today because back in February, I applied for a grant. It's called the Art Place America Creative Placemaking Grant. And the project idea is 2 parts. The first part is something I've always wanted to do in this community, which is food mapping. And what it basically entails is going up and down every single street in the city of Cottonwood, identifying and mapping all the available food resources that we have, which are many. Fruit trees, nut trees, mesquite trees, I mean, the list goes on and on of what is available to us. The second component, after the mapping is complete, which will be a big endeavor, is commissioning artists to take this information and disseminate it in a meaningful, celebratory type way. So the goal, there are many goals and many prospective outcomes of this project, but the main one is to bridge the gap between a food abundance that we have and a food need that we have in our community. So 2 weeks ago, I found out that I'm a finalist for the grant.
Wonderful, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's very awesome.
Thank you. And the next component, unfortunately or fortunately, is Art Place America is sending 2 individuals to Cottonwood to meet with me to present the community and present the idea in person. So you are all invited. In fact, I have an invitation for each of you.
Thank you.
I'm opening up to the public from noon to 1, and it will be at the Civic Center across the street. And there'll be other presenters, and I'll be able to go into more detail about what exactly I want it to look like and hope that it will look like. But there were 1,400 applicants, and I'm one of 80.
Wow, that's
good.
congratulations.
And so they visit 60 cities in the nation, and Cottonwood is one.
That's
So,
fantastic.
I'd love for each of you to be there, and also if you know of somebody who might be interested to know more about the project, also people that might have food or food availability in their yards, or also artists, I would encourage you to extend the invitation to them as well.
And we have the community orchard, you know, and
Oh,
right
I know.
now it's like there's a lot of fruit out there that might be going to waste. I don't know. The city clerk knows more about that. I was hoping to do a project this year with the community in the garden or the orchard, but I'm not sure where we're at with that. So, didn't you get your degree from NAU and
I did.
you're a dietitian or no?
No, but what has kind of the catalyst for this project, and many of you helped me with my thesis, which was a study of the local food system here in Cottonwood. Thank you. And yes, I did get my degree in sustainable communities from NAU.
Okay.
But one of the major outcomes from that project was identifying that people in Cottonwood believe in a local food system, would like to participate in a local food system, and don't know how. So I've just kind of had that in my mind and I've just had this idea of now what do you do with that? And I think this is kind of where to go next.
Well, wonderful. So, and you might want to talk with the city clerk and see if she can assist you in any way with
I
our
have
resources.
one lone tomato plant. Would that be counted?
I think what I'm going to focus on are perennial foods, so like the fruit trees and things that are, you could sort of count on being there every year.
Okay.
Great idea. So you'd be like going to private yards and looking at how many trees they have,
What I'm
or
going to do is what is visible from
the street? Okay.
And then I'll have a public version of the map
Mhm.
that doesn't go into what is like in people's yards, but what is you could pick from the streetscape.
So maybe the city could help you if you had like a plan or whatever. We could put it on our Facebook page and our website and try to get some of the residents to participate and just give you information if they would like
That
to.
would be wonderful.
Sure.
That'd be wonderful.
So just get with the city manager and see what you can put together to do that. Or the city clerk probably would maybe be the more appropriate person. Doug? Which do you wish?
In terms of a contact person,
Yeah.
I thought Mary Ann was a good suggestion.
She's sitting there like another duty, but yes, she's like she manages our community garden, the community orchard, so she's a great contact and is very knowledgeable, I think, about other things going on in the community.
I really can't think of anybody offhand. I'd have to kind of give that some thought,
Yeah,
Well,
if we can help.
when I get it, I'll
yeah, that's a great thing for the community. And the farmer's market, Hezekiah Allen knows all about that. So, good luck. Best wishes and congratulations. Is there any other members of the public who would like to speak tonight at this time? If not, we'll close the floor to the public. The next item is approval of minutes. I read them, and they look good to me.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second?
Mr. Pratt made the motion, and the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And those were the budget work sessions of May 9th and May 10th. Comments regarding items listed on the agenda are limited to a 5-minute time period. Consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item number 1 is special event liquor license applications for Grand Canyon Winery, Burning Tree Cellars, LLC, Cottontucky, did I say that right? Cottontucky, LLC, Dancing Apache Ranch, Pillsbury Wine Company, Fire Mountain Wines, Oak Creek Vineyards and Winery, Javelina Leap Estate Vineyard, Page Springs Cellars and Vineyards, Southwest Wine Center, Winery 101, Arizona Stronghold Vineyards, LLC, Painted Lady Vineyard, and Prescott Creeks Preservation Association for the Tilted Earth Wine and Music Festival to be held at Riverfront Park on June 17th and 18th, 2016. Item number 2 is Fair Festival liquor license application submitted by Burning Tree Cellars, Mitch Levy, Cottontucky LLC, Joseph Bouchard, Pillsbury Wine Company, Sam Pillsbury, Fire Mountain Wines, Jamie Fulmer, Page Springs Cellars, Eric Glomsky, and Arizona Stronghold Vineyards, LLC, Eric Glomsky, for an event scheduled for June 16, 2016 at Blazin' M Ranch, located at 1875 Mayberry Ranch Road. Item number 3 is Wine Festival liquor license application submitted by John McLaughlin, applicant for Cellar 433 for an event scheduled for June 11, 2016 at the Old Town Center for the Arts, located at 633 North 5th Street. Item number 4 is special event liquor license application submitted by Timmy Linsky, applicant for the committee to elect Timmy Linsky for Cottonwood mayor for a fundraiser event scheduled for June 25th, 2016 at 1048 North Main Street. Item number 5 is new liquor license application submitted by Brenda M. Closton, owner of Colt, located at 804 North Main Street. Renewal extension of emergency dispatching services agreements with the Jerome Fire Department and Verde Valley Ambulance Company. Consent of assignment of airport hangar site lease M at the Cottonwood Airport from Cami Mulcair to David A. Heath. Are there any items that a member of the council would like to pull for specific discussion? No? Are there any items that a member of the public would like to pull for specific discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move we approve the consent agenda?
Second.
The vice mayor made the motion and Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, new business. The following items are for council discussion, consideration, and possible legal action. Public hearing regarding the city's proposed tentative budget for the 2016-2017 fiscal year. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, Mayor and Council. Traditionally, we hold a public hearing on the upcoming budget. It has been posted on the website for some time. We also have the state forms were also published in the local newspaper as required. And this gives the public a chance to comment on the budget. The proposed budget has been up there for quite some time. The intended budget has been up there for about 2 or 3 weeks. So
Okay.
before we adopt it.
Okay, thank you very much. So at this time, we'll move into the public hearing. So let me get down there to that item. So we'll move into the public hearing, and this is a chance for members of the public to ask questions about the budget and receive answers or make comments on items that they would like to discuss. So, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak concerning the tentative budget? Okay. If not, we'll go ahead and close the floor to the public and move on to the adoption of the city's fiscal year 2017 tentative budget and establishing an expenditure limitation. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Today we're moving to adopt the tentative budget. As you may recall, Arizona requires a tentative budget and be adopted. And what that basically does, it sets the expenditure limitation for the upcoming budget year. And what the expenditure limitation basically says, caps it at this amount. This upcoming year's amount is $73,112,570, which is less than the current revised budget by $840,000. And there's a couple of things that we discussed during our budget sessions. There was numerous hours spent by staff and the finance department going over the numbers. This is a fully balanced budget. There is no tax increase in this budget contemplated for this upcoming year. We do have 6 full-time positions on there. Originally we had 5. There was a 6th one added, and I'll go down the row on this. There is 1 radio technician, which we discussed during the budget sessions. There is a planning administrative assistant. Let me just kind of backtrack first of all. The radio technician, we're planning to pay that position just from the number of contracts that he's going to take over. In other words, we'll be eliminating some contracts so that we can go ahead and cover his cost, his or her cost. The 1 planning administrative assistants, we currently have a part-timer, half-time person. We'll be going to a full-time person in that position. There's 3 transit drivers for 3/4 of the year because, of course, the federal grant period doesn't start till October 1st. And these are grant funded. The matching grant amount will be coming from Sedona because these 3 transit drivers will be necessary to provide the paratransit system over in Sedona. With the new regulations, ADOT has required us to have paratransit over there. So they'll be funding these positions. That's the original 5. The 6th one is the victim's right advocate, and that's only if the grant is funded. The matching portion, we've already come up with it. They've allowed us to use in-kind services rather than money for the grant for the matching portion of it, and we're hoping that that does get funded through the year. There was 1 job reclassification. That was a purchasing agent to purchasing contracts administrator. The current purchasing agent that we have also monitors our contracts, has been doing a really great job keeping up with all the necessary requirements of the contracts, along with our attorney. Works real close to make sure that we meet all the requirements and meet all the statutes. Unfortunately, in order to balance the budget this year, we went ahead and eliminated 1 officer's position, and as I mentioned during the budget season, we will be seeking that position, if not next year, the following year after that. So the merit program is fully funded for this upcoming year. However, we did not fund the COLA program or the longevity program for our employees. We were real fortunate this year that our health insurance, which has been averaging about 6.5% to 7% over the last few years since we've been with the Arizona Public Employers Health Group, only had an increase of 2% this year, which actually helped out our budget. We continue the present employee contribution structure for dependent health care as we have in the past. And our retirement adjustments have gone up. Some have gone up slightly. ASRS went from 11.47% to 11.48%, Public safety retirement went from 18.38 to 18.78, and public safety retirement police, excuse me, the first one was fire. The police portion went from 37.37 to 37.72. The general fund reserve status is still at 60% coverage at $2.9 million. We still maintain a capital accumulation fund of $1 million. Our undesignated reserves grew a little bit to $64,295. And capital equipment plan for the subcoming year is $2,154,845. And the capital projects for the subcoming year is at $22,471,190. And that includes, of course, the water reclaim project over at Riverfront Park, and then the street project that we currently have in place on Mingus, which is going to be broken up in 2 different sections. Outside of that, those are the big things that we discussed. We discussed a lot of other little things between the different budgets, but pretty much that's the 30,000 foot overview of the budget. So. Any questions?
Sure. For the public's benefit, do you want to explain the $9 million that we have outstanding for the pensions for police?
There's two outstanding balances. There's one for 10 million and one for 9 million. The 9 million happens to be for public safety retirement, which includes about 50 of our 205 or so employees. The other 10 million is for our other 155 employees that we have, that is handled by the ASRS. We have always funded the amount that both these pension systems have requested every single year, as have every single city and town in the state of Arizona. Unfortunately, GADB 68 came in place in 2015 and shifted that responsibility or that liability from the 2 retirement organizations onto the different cities. And hence, we didn't bond for it. We just ended up taking an accounting change, and unfortunately, liability has fallen on us. ASRS is not requesting us to put any additional money. The way they view things is they expect the economy to improve over the years, their investments will continue to grow, and they'll continue to slowly inch up our contributions. And they, at one time, they were well over 100% funded. They expect to get close to that in the next few years, just by continuing to invest wisely. The public safety retirement, however, is a little bit different animal. They too were over 100% funded at one time. Unfortunately, the economy did tank, and they have a different type of a structure. They have different boards in every single community, while ASRS has one board that manages everything. So each of the cities has a different amount of liability or percentage of the liability. Ours happens to be a little over $9 million. Currently, what we're doing is we're paying the full estimated amount of what we expect our liability will be for the year for our current employees. We also we pay that out at the first of the year, so we take advantage of earning interest on it throughout the entire year rather than making monthly contributions. We also are continuing those that are on drop. We continue making contributions. As you know, with those individuals that are on drop, we don't have to make contributions. However, we will continue to make contributions in order to get our liability down. We also currently are contributing any type of savings that for vacancies in public safety. We can continue to contribute those back into the system to cut down our liability. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that we knew it was coming, but there wasn't much we could do. Just the economy took a really bad turn for both those retirement systems, and then the accounting change pretty much shifted their liability onto us.
So comparing Cottonwood to the other 91 cities and towns in the state of Arizona, I heard that Bisbee and Prescott are especially impacted severely by this change. And you probably don't know the figures, but
I've
it's,
heard figures from over $60 million for just
For Prescott.
alone. Then, of course, they're a lot closer, so I get to hear those numbers a lot more. But they of course, were hit, and a lot of it is, take for example, the tragedy they had a year and a half ago, or actually going
Losing
on
their-
2 years now.
they're 19
The
firefighters.
19 firefighters that lost really increased their liability. A lot of cities are also in the same boat or in worse shape than the city of Cottonwood, and some of them are in better shape. It's just the hiring practices that we've had in the past, and it's not so much the hiring practices, it's just that liability wasn't ours, and now it is.
So, yeah, something we'll be discussing every year, and
And it does show up on our budget
Right.
as one of our key issues, and it probably will be there for years to come.
but it's not unusual for any city in the state. It's not Cottonwood-centric.
No, every community got hit with the liability.
Okay, anything else that council members want to discuss specifically? We've gone over this a number of times and discussed it in detail. So, Mr. Pratt?
Is it time for a motion?
Absolutely.
I move to adopt the city's proposed fiscal year 2017 tentative budget as presented, and to establish the city's fiscal year 2017 expenditure limitation at $73,112,570.
Second.
Mr. Pratt made the motion, the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank
Good job,
you.
Rudy.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the work that you and your staff did to get this out again.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, resolutions number 2839 and 2840, appointing members to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Madam Mayor
Yes.
and council members, we have 2 terms up in Historic Preservation Commission, and 2 existing members reapply for the position, Annabelle Sklipa and Marie Palawada, and they are for your review tonight. Ms. Sklipa was not able to attend this meeting, but Marie Palawada is in the audience if you have any questions.
Okay. So we would invite you to come up and speak and just let us know. Share anything you'd like to share about your past service and your future service on that commission.
My name is Marie. Good evening.
Good evening.
Is this working? Okay. I have served on the commission for the last 3 years, and I have to say I'm very glad that Cottonwood leaders had and have the ability to establish and maintain a historic preservation commission. As our community grows, the need for historic preservation becomes more and more important. I have been very happy to serve on the commission for the last 3 years, and I am pleased to be able to have the opportunity to serve for the next 3 years. And so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Just for the record that Annabelle Sklipa has been with the HPC from the beginning.
From the
which is
beginning.
5.5 years.
Right, right. And she's done a great job. Any discussion by members of the council? Any comments from members of the public on these 2 resolutions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2840, appointing Maria Palawada to the Historic Preservation Commission for a 3-year term expiring March 6th, 2019.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Pratt made the motion, the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for your service. Okay, City Clerk, please read resolutions numbers 2839 and 2840 by title only.
Madam Mayor, the motion was for Resolution 2840.
Oh, I was thinking we were doing them both. I'm sorry.
I'll
20
continue that.
Okay, go ahead. We'll
I
do
also
those at the
move to
same.
approve resolution number 2840, appointing Annabelle Schlippa to the Historic Preservation Commission for a 3-year term expiring in March 6th, 2019.
Second again.
So Mr. Pratt made the motion again, and the Vice Mayor seconded it again. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed on that one? Motion carries. All right, City Clerk.
Just for clarification, that last one was for 2839. The
So
motion
we're-
was made for 2840 again.
So twice. So do you want to amend your motion?
Oh, I thought I said 2839 the first
I
time.
think you did start with 40.
Okay.
All right.
I'll amend the motion to include the appointment of Marie Palawada to resolution number 2839.
But wait a minute. I think it's Annabelle that we have to do.
Yes, it's Annabelle. The motion was.
I will amend the motion.
The first
to
motion
approve
was made for 20.
Resolution number 2839, appointing Annabelle Schlippa to the Historic Preservation Committee for a 3-year term expiring March 6, 2019.
That's my last second.
You second that amendment? Okay. You second that emotion, or what's the song? Okay, so, are you happy now, City Clerk?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Would you please go ahead and read the resolutions by title only?
Resolution number 2839, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, appointing Annabelle Schlippa, a member of the city's Historic Preservation Commission, and establishing her term of office. Resolution number 2840, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, appointing Marie Palawada, a member of the city's Historic Preservation Commission, and establishing her term of office. Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, the third time's the charm, right? Item number 4, request from Cottonwood Oak Creek School District for waiver of building permit fees totaling $23,277.75 for exterior interior work at Cottonwood Elementary, Cottonwood Middle School, Mountain View Preparatory, and the school district office. Ms. Najad.
Again, as you said, these remodeling required 9 permits, and they total up to $23,277. And the district is requesting waiver on that, and the representatives are here for any questions you may have.
Okay, and so there's quite a long paragraph here in our packets, which are also available on the website, cottonwoodaz.gov. You click on council to explain what the project is. But we'll go ahead and invite, we have Joe Schnupp, did I say that right? Yes. The project manager, and Trent Murray, the director of facilities. And for the public's benefit, if you would just go ahead and explain the different projects that you'll be doing.
Definitely. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Joseph Schnupp. I'm with the H2 Group. This is Trent Murray. He's with Sodexo, and we represent the Cottonwood Oak Creek School District. Once again, thank you for including us on the agenda and your consideration to waive the fees for the work that will be going on this summer. As was previously mentioned, the total for the permit fees and inspections are $23,277.50. With this, I'll give you a brief background. In June of 2014, taxpayers approved a $15 million bond for the school district for the school district seeking bonds to pay for new buses, technology, and capital improvement projects. We're representing right now the capital improvement projects. As responsible fiduciaries for the school district, we're looking as many ways as we can to save funds and return money back to the classroom, basically, or for more projects. Inclusive of these projects, over at the district office, there's some minimal interior renovations, and the exterior of the building will be renovated, and the windows replaced, old broken windows with new windows. We have met with the Historical Society in Cottonwood, and reviewed those plans with them also, just so I wanted to make you aware of that. And at Mountain View Preparatory, the brunt of the work over there for this summer will be painting. We were going to replace HVAC units, but it wasn't cost effective as those units still have some useful life. Over at the middle school and the elementary school, we'll be doing some renovations to some of the restrooms, and we will not be doing window replacements over there. But it'll be, the majority of the work will be restroom renovations for the students and staff over at the middle school and elementary school. Also at the transportation building, we're going to be replacing some old and outdated heating and air conditioning units, and at the food service building also. We will be also replacing new roofs at Mountain View Preparatory and over at Dr. Daniel Bright. However, Dr. Daniel Bright is in the county and is not relevant to this project. And we will also be doing electrical upgrades at almost all the sites. A lot of the electrical systems are old or outdated, starting to fail, and we'll be replacing those. So we're here looking to hopefully save the taxpayer more money if you approve this waiver. And I did want to mention that as much as possible, we've always, since last year, this year, and the projects coming up for next summer, are using as much as possible local resources on these projects as we can. A lot of these items are, I would consider maintenance type items. We're replacing like for like on HVAC units, window replacements for more energy efficient windows instead of single pane going to double pane. A lot of them are, I would also consider repetitive items. So inspections and permit are fairly redundant in nature regarding these projects. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Questions, Mr. Pratt?
First of all, one question. The Bridgeway Food Service Building, is that part of the school district? And if so, where is that?
It is, and I misspoke on that. We are not doing any projects on that building.
Okay.
So that can be, that's out of the scope.
So,
It is part of the district, though.
Yeah, the location is just behind the ends.
okay.
Well, even behind that new construction.
But we won't be doing that.
No.
So that can be eliminated.
That was kind of pulled from the district projects because they're considering the age of that building and it may not be worth it to put any funds into it.
And how about the 2 new steel canopies at the transportation building? Is that still ongoing? And
That's correct.
And that is to shield the buses?
That's for washing the buses out back and the one off to the side, and there's a smaller one out back that'll be used for the grounds and transportation people.
Okay.
And I'm glad that you mentioned those. Those canopies are going to be refurbished canopies from a government project. So we'll be saving quite a bit of money on those, actually. They're not brand new.
Just one point of sort of a correction is that if the council does decide to waive the fees, somebody will be paying them, and that will be the citizens of Cottonwood.
Correct.
The citizens, somebody has to pay for it. There's no free ride, and so it just means that our staff will be doing $23,000 worth of work that the citizens of Cottonwood will be gifting to the school district in support of the district, because that's generally what we do. We really try to support our schools and our kids, but somebody does have to pay.
Correct.
Yeah. So I would like to ask the members of the public if anyone would like to comment on this subject or topic. If not, I would entertain a motion from the council.
I have another question.
Okay, please.
Is this recent proposition that just passed going to provide the funds for this? Has this come from proposition, I think it was 123?
124?
123.
No, 124 was for
the pension.
Pension. 123 was for the schools.
Oh,
The state trust lands.
no. As far, I can't answer that. That would be more for the business manager to answer. but my understanding is Proposition 123 will go more towards salaries.
Teacher
My
salaries
understanding. How the district
allocates
You
it
know,
is not
allocates
up
that
to
fund.
you.
Right.
Right. So that is a good question.
I can support teacher salaries. Being an educator. Yeah, and again, I'm hesitant on this one because of the taxpayers, yet I'm a little bit biased because I'm an educator, so I tend to be pretty easy when it comes to things doing with education.
Any other thoughts, Mr. Hadigi?
I think it's appropriate to hear from Mr. Rodriguez on this.
Mr. Rodriguez, would you like
See
to
if he has
comment?
anything to add to this.
Throwing people under the bus tonight.
Yeah, well, it's going to be happening. There's elections going on, so.
Well, honestly, you know, it's, like the mayor said, someone ends up paying for it. The budget's already set, so, you know, quite frankly, we weren't anticipating this money to start with, but you're absolutely right. If that money doesn't come in, it's like everything else, we go ahead and figure out some way to pay for it, whether we cut back on supplies or something else. Luckily, $23,000 is not a huge amount, but we have done this in the past for other education institutions, so, you know, it's up to council. To me,
It's never easy, is it?
no, it is.
It's not as easy as it sounds.
But you're right, you know, if they don't pay, put it into the pocket, the city ends up paying for it, taxpayers still will pay for it regardless. But $23,000 won't make us or break us. We'll take it and absorb it somewhere, and we do have contingency funds, about $62,000, so just slash that in half, and we'll cover it out of there.
And that answered my second question, the source of the possible revenues.
There you go.
Thank you.
You ready for a motion?
Vice Mayor, please.
I move to approve the Cottonwood Oak Creek School District's request for a waiver of building permit fees in the amount of $23,277.75.
Second.
The Vice Mayor made the motion. Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Go and educate our children well. They're our future. Okay, so the next item is approving the submission of a grant application to the Federal Emergency Management Agency for potential funding under the 2016 Pre-Disaster Mitigation Grant Program and authorizing the mayor to sign funding commitment letters for the Railroad Wash Drainage Improvement Project and the Casa del Sol Railroad Wash Channel Improvement Project.
All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members.
Go ahead and take your time.
PowerPoint for you, so
It's-
give me a moment, please.
Got to get the technology revved up there.
I've got to take a break for a minute.
Okay, so we're just going to take a little break for this moment, and while you're getting the equipment loaded. In just a minute, he'll be right back. Does anybody else need to take a break during this? Okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go back into session now.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. What I have to present to you tonight is the opportunity to seek some grant funding for some improvement projects along Railroad Wash to help remove some properties from the floodplain. Pictures. The one on the upper left is our floodplain map that was in effect before and also revised in 2015. And you can see the blue area there with the hatching that kind of cuts across. Let's see. Probably screw this one up. But yep, I knew it. With the, you see on the left, it kind of cuts across. There were 35 properties in there that were in the floodplain. The city did a project in 2014 through FEMA to go ahead and have that floodplain remapped. The remapping shows up on the right-hand side, and you can see the blue area is condensed from what it was before. But there were some adverse consequences that came out of that. Originally, the goal was to take everybody out of the floodplain that's shown in there. Unfortunately, guidelines with FEMA had changed due to Hurricane Katrina and the way they consider berms and levees. When they do the analysis, they have to treat them like they don't exist. So what happens is we have that area that spills out at the southeast corner of the roundabout where Cottonwood Village is, as well as if you go a little further down towards 10th Street to the east, you'll see a couple little kind of blobs that come down to the south as well. One of those is 8th Street Wash, which you don't see too well on there, but it'll show up better on the next page, and then also Casa del Sol. So, like I mentioned, 35 parcels were removed when we did the Lomer process. However, 8 were added. So we're trying to take care of those 8 that were added in this case. And the reason why is because FEMA regulations changed. So this is the Cottonwood Village property. And you can see there's 2 different hatches there. There's one that's kind of blue with a gray line through it. That would be the floodway itself. That's actually the ditch. As you drive past there and you look down, you can see the kind of the berm ditch there. That is the floodway. But again, because FEMA says you can't go ahead and have the flood or berm anymore unless it's certified, the blue is what happens when the 100-year floods go ahead and occur. So we're looking to go ahead and do this project to help take that property out of the flood. Additionally, a second proposed project would be to do Casa del Sol, and this is a smaller, impact. There's only 8 residences, 8 residences here that are affected. But it's basically just that one little unit up there on the northeast corner of the property, or northwest corner. So FEMA has a grant program out to go ahead and do pre-disaster mitigation. And it's administered through the Division of Emergency and Military Affairs. They seek grant applications on interested parties to go ahead and participate in these funding process. It's a 75-25, so we have a 25% match in it. And we've identified these 2 projects. They had 18 projects originally. We were originally ranked numbers 11 and 12. And typically they take the top 10, and move those into what they submit to FEMA for actual funding. A couple of the guys dropped out in front of us, so we got moved up into that lower end of the top 10. So this is why we're coming to you now to go ahead and seek requests for funding authorization. Okay? And these programs have a very long life. It's a 3-year term, basically, that we have. So there's a long process to go through FEMA, get their approval. Then we have construction that we go ahead and incur. Then after that, we go through and do map revisions through FEMA to get things taken care of, corrected, shown correctly, so that way our residents can take advantage of the changes. And then finally, there's an audit period through the state and close out of the grant. So one other thing that didn't make it onto your agenda is, since I put that together for you guys, the State Division of Emergency Military Affairs came back and said they've identified a second possible source of funding, and they're going to go ahead and present it to them to see if we could possibly go that route as well. So
that would be good.
Similar things, but their funding level is still a 75-25. So in all the 2 projects, we've requested $400,000 total. We'd have $100,000 into it, so it'd be $100,000, and we get $300,000 as a match for the grant.
Mr. Pratt?
It seems like I've been hearing about issues with Railroad Wash ever since I served on the city council. It's been a major issue and it's caused problems. Also, looking at this, it's pretty clear that this is a public safety issue.
There's definitely the potential.
It would benefit a lot of our public and help keep people safe. And it does seem like a small price to pay to eliminate some flood hazard areas so that we do keep people safe. So I appreciate your work on this, and I'm glad that we get 75% of it granted. And I also appreciate the fact that you're looking into other funding for it, so maybe it'll even be less.
We're trying.
And Madam Mayor, council members, I don't know if Robert mentioned this, but this would actually be a fiscal year 2018.
18, I just saw that.
So this just gives us an opportunity to possibly find more money.
Give us a little time.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's not budgeted for this next year, but the following year.
Okay.
Thank you, Doug.
Sounds like almost a no-brainer.
Just that far. I'm one hair away from a no-brainer.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, as I said, it's been an issue for many years, and
Absolutely.
we've talked about it.
Absolutely. We've invested a lot in trying to remediate the building over the top of that wash.
Definitely.
That back in the day when the building happened, it wasn't really considered a problem, but we knew we had issues like around 11th Street and like around the bend clear up from 89A. We've worked on that down to Cottonwood Village and around the corner. And one flood, I don't remember it was, but I had my adopted granddaughter with me, and that ditch was full to the top of the bridge, kind of across from the post office there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really carrying a lot of water.
It does take a lot of water, you're correct.
Oh, it was amazing. So would any members of the public like to comment on this item? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd also add that this is a priority flood project for us, as well as the blowout wash and the impact it has now in the Old Town area. That's our other priority flood project
Right.
that Robert and Morgan have been
Working
desperately trying to find money to get a study done for that as well. So,
If I may, we tried to look at this program for that project. Unfortunately, because it has such a long duration, it wouldn't be very beneficial to get something in more of an immediate future for the Old Town area to actually benefit people. And they had one other caveat is we can't do a study through this program. It has to be more of a part of a master plan and other type of deal. So we didn't qualify for that program. So we're still looking for other sources of funding to help out with that.
All right, that's good.
I move to approve authorizing the mayor to sign the funding commitment letter for the 2016 PDM Cottonwood Railroad Wash Drainage Improvement CV grant application and the funding commitment letter for the 2016 PDM Cottonwood Casa del Sol Railroad Wash Channel Improvements grant application.
Second.
Mr. Pratt made the motion, the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Okay, the next item is updated agreement, let's see. Agreement with Brown and Brown Law Offices PC for general adjudication of the Gila River system and source and the city's water resources and related issues. Mr. Whitmer.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Many of you will recall, I think all of you were on the council at the time, back in 2008, we signed an agreement with Brown and Brown Law Offices to represent the city of Cottonwood in the adjudication primarily, but also represent us in our negotiations with Salt River Project and with the Apache Nation. At that time, we negotiated what I consider to be a very, very smoking rate in regards to what they were charging us. And it's been 8 years now, and so they've just now come back and said that he's done up his rates. His rate that he's proposing is still way below what he's charging his other clients, as well as what other water attorneys charge people out there. So This is just kind of a continuation of that agreement, just with an increase in the actual dollar per hour amount that Brown & Brown will be charging.
Any questions or comments? So the benefit of the public that do not have this document, the amount is, they normally charge $400 per hour, and the city will be paying $275.
We'll be paying $200 to $275, depending on which attorney in the office is actually at the table at the time.
Right. Yeah, his son also works with him.
Right.
Jay Brown.
As does his brother.
Okay. So there's, depending on which one is working, is the dependent upon
Correct.
how much will be charged.
And there are, just to give you an update, there are, our negotiations with Solver Project and the Yavapai Apache Nations have been on again, off again, on again, off again. They're currently on, and we're meeting quite regularly with them and trying to negotiate some sort of a settlement agreement for the Yavapai Apache Nations, which is
That's great.
is nice to see us back at the table again.
Right. Okay. Any comments from members of the public on this item? If not, Mr. Pratt?
I have a comment.
Okay.
This is a very important issue, obviously, because it deals with water, and if SRP wins this whole adjudication thing, it could affect a lot of people, not just in Cottonwood, but in the whole Verde Valley, all along the river. And again, I think it's important that Brown & Brown have worked with the city for years, so they understand the issues, and they've been really informative. Every time we've met with them, they've been very forthcoming with what's going on, so that if these rates are within reasonable rates, I see no reason why we wouldn't do this. But I don't know whether the lawyers would charge. But
If
I have to trust that they're being honest when they say they usually charge $400 and they're only going to charge us $275 to $200 depending on the lawyer, and it looks like a good deal.
If I may.
Yes.
I've worked with most of the water attorneys around the state, having worked with SRP and then also worked with the Department of Water Resources. Most water attorneys right now are charging between $400 and $500 an hour.
Okay. So this is a good deal.
Yeah, and David Brown is considered to be one of the top water attorneys in the state of Arizona.
I know that.
Okay, if there's no further comments or questions, or I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the amended legal services agreement with Brown & Brown Law Offices, PC, pursuant to Section 6.c of the city's procurement policy.
Second.
The Vice Mayor made the motion, and Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks.
Thank you for your work on that. Item number 7 is acceptance of the resignations from the Cottonwood City Council of Jesse Dowling, Timmy Linsky, and Randy Garrison, declaring the seats open and establishing a process for filling the vacancies. Okay, just a second. So our city clerk and our city attorney have both been working on the intricacies of the law and what we do next, and trying to make it as uncomplicated as possible with changes in state law that impact our elections and our dates and all of those things. So if the two of you want to present the information for the public's benefit also.
Sure.
Mr. Horton.
I think it's not lost on anyone, that there's a little bit more elbow room on the dais this evening. And there's sort of a confluence of vacancies on the council right now, and there's an upcoming election where there'll be more seats to be filled. And as the council knows, and for the benefit of the public, Jesse Dowling resigned effective the end of May because he was moving out of the city and was therefore no longer qualified to serve. And Mr. Garrison resigned in order to run for another office, as did Mr. Alinsky. Mr. Garrison's running for a county office, Mr. Alinsky for a city office. Under state law and city code, what happens next is the remaining council, thankfully we have a quorum, will declare those seats officially vacant and then establish a process for filling them. Now, I think it'll be important as you all start the discussion and to unpackage this and decide how to proceed, that there are seats that have already been set up for election this fall. That's different than filling, except in Mr. Dowling's case. In the case of Mr. Garrison's seat, Mr. Alinsky's seat, those seats would have been up for election, but for the legislature changing the candidate election cycle. Gets a little confusing. But Mr. Dowling's seat is one of those that will be filled in the upcoming election. Mr. Garrison's seat and Mr. Alinsky's seat would not have expired yet, such that they would be subject to election until the fall of 2018. So I think conceptually it would be helpful for the council to look at this as two long-term seats that you need to think about filling, and then the short-term seat that will be filled regardless of what you do tonight or soon, that will be filled by election this fall.
Okay, so, Mr. Pratt?
Yeah, it seems to me as I look at this, that the very best way to go about this is to issue a public service announcement inviting interested applicants to fill out an application and apply for those seats, to appoint two people to the two seats that have 2 more years on the term for the rest of that term, and then appoint one person to Mr. Dowling's seat until the November election. And again, that seems to me to be the fairest and simplest way to do it. And I think we really need to put out a public service announcement so the public is aware that this opportunity is available, and then give them a date when they have to have an application in by. And as long as we get the material ahead of time, it gives us time to study it and decide who we would like to see replace these people.
And probably as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that seems simple and fair, and it seems like it would be doable in a very short period of time. We could probably do a public service announcement this week, right?
If that is the pleasure of the council, I can certainly work with the city manager, the city clerk, and we can craft something and get that out ASAP.
And so we would invite those who are running for office and those who are not to fill out the application and a letter of interest, I would say, also, and throw your name in the hat for consideration by the council for appointment. Any additions or other thoughts, Vice Mayor?
What time frame would we have on that PSA and to replace them?
Well, we have to set that.
Right.
That's up to us.
That would be the council's prerogative.
Right.
So I would, okay, and then last year, we didn't meet in August, and I've been, excuse me, working with staff to try to decide if we decided that we're just going to take August off, and I thought we had, but it could be that we need to do that every year, and it would be up to future councils also. So I'm assuming that we won't have meetings in August again. I'm just assuming that this year.
I was thinking we could do this the first or second meeting in July, that quick.
I was thinking of the 21st of June.
Me too.
21st of June would be fine.
Is it the 21st or the 20th, our June meeting?
It's the 21st.
21st, okay, I got that right. So I would say
go
the
for that.
sooner the better. Get this council filled and
Yep.
get moving on, because just having 4 folks, if either of you have to leave early, like you sometimes do, or if you have to not be here,
There's a
we just,
conflict of interest.
if there's a conflict of interest, it's really quite serious to me to only have 4 members of a council.
I could go with the 21st if we could do
Okay.
that.
So if we get some information into the paper, onto the 2 papers, our Facebook page, about the ability to apply for this position, And then if it's okay with the council, the city clerk had asked me about her managing the applications, and she and I talked, and at first I thought about human resources, but, that would be pretty ridiculous because she does the election stuff anyway, and she's offered to do it, and I think she would be excellent at doing it if that's the council's pleasure, if she manages that process. And so we would ask that we have at least the normal time, the 2 days, or even sooner if you can get those applications to us. So we need to talk about a deadline. When would we like the applicants to have these in by? And if there are any legal date things that we have to think about to get this before the council by the 21st.
Depending on the number of them, if 3 days is fine for me to review them, I can read fast.
We only get it.
So that would be the 18th.
3 days anyway. So
Yeah,
4
we
days.
usually only get 3 days.
So
for the packets.
if the due date might be, so this is the
17th would be a
7th.
Friday.
That would give people, really, they don't need 10 days to do this.
No,
They're either going to do it or they're not.
that's being more than generous.
Right.
Some people have to sit home and meditate on this, whether they want to do it or not.
Right.
Madam Mayor, I think some direction as to the content, the information the council would like to see from applicants would be helpful for staff.
Don't we have forms that we've used before? We've had to do this
Yes.
before, and those forms seem to work fine. I remember Ron Hollis resigned at one point,
Right.
and the form that the folks filled out then seemed to work fine. Do we still have those forms, Marion?
I would say it would be an application for employment, kind of. Wouldn't it be similar to that Human Resources has, or have you used a different one in the past?
From what I recall, we just took in letters of interest and resumes.
Okay.
They did not fill out applications.
And no application. But there might be some missing information if they don't fill out.
That's
somebody
what was done in the past. So
might have a three-word resume or something. Vice Mayor?
The 18th would be the day,
That's a Saturday.
yeah, but if we give it until the Thursday before, that gives the city clerk a day to get things together, to get them in our packet,
So the 16th?
at least one day.
Yes, and you also have to take into consideration when we get the PSA out to the newspapers. They have deadlines to meet. So we might not get something in the paper until Sunday.
So it would be in the Red Rock News and the Journal Extra, if you get it in now or before Thursday. I'm thinking that it would be in next Wednesday's paper, and that would be, and with the Verde Independent, because it's 3 times a week, we don't have that constraint that we do.
But thankfully, the publication requirement, unlike other contexts, isn't prescribed, so we're not.
Okay. It's not like a month or 30 days or.
Yeah, we have to publish 2 times,
Okay.
and this amount of time prior to the council's action on the applications.
And we also get it out to the radio stations so they can begin broadcasting it right away.
Put it on our website.
Get our website, Facebook page.
I would like actually to have the application filled out because it gives you information that you need. Addresses and everything, and the resume and a letter of interest.
We use an application for the commissions, as I recall.
We do.
Yes.
Is
we
that
do.
the application you're
Right.
talking about, Mayor?
Something
Because
like
then
that would
everybody's
work.
information is going to be consistent, the basics. And if you just leave it up to the applicant, they may not know what you need.
So could we say the 16th? That's a week from Thursday, would be the deadline.
And if it goes out in the Journal Extra, though, not until the Wednesday before, that would give people.
Okay,
who
I get
read
the Journal
that
Extra on
paper.
Tuesday.
Okay. So we'll try to get the word out, too, in other ways. We'll try to get the word out through Facebook and social media in addition to.
And I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but is this an item similar to most items where you want to invite any comment from the public on the process before
Yes,
you give the final
I feel
direction?
that it should be public if the council agrees that it's definitely a public process and should be a public process. And also I would like to I think that in the past we've asked questions and we tried to be consistent, and usually I've come up with the questions, but I would ask the council if I could work with the city clerk and the city manager and develop a list of questions that we will present to council and ask for their approval.
Yeah,
So that everybody gets the same questions and everybody's treated fairly. And so maybe if you approve, because if we have another council member, we're almost over the quorum. But I could have a meeting with the city manager and the city clerk, and we could devise a list of questions that we might ask, and then we could actually send them out with the packet, with the applications and stuff, and just the council would be able then at the meeting to add a question that they might like to have added, or subtract one they don't like. And we would just go with the council's approval at the meeting on the questions. It might change a little bit if that's legal. Is that legal? Okay.
And we've also given the applicants a few minutes at the end to add anything, any questions we haven't asked, information you would like to provide us with.
Yeah, and
in
you know,
case we haven't asked
actually,
appropriate questions
rather
for
than
them.
me, you're the person that actually does this at the college, and why don't you take, if it's okay with the council, you take my place on with the team and devise the questions, because you do that
Okay,
all
I'll
the
be
time.
glad to do that.
Do you have time for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, okay.
Well, and Madam Mayor, I was actually, I'm sorry, I was also wondering if you wanted to take comment from the public on the process before staff got its direction.
You mean tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And then also comments from the public that during the interviews.
And then just one clarification from the council. I heard Mr. Pratt say that you're thinking of filling one of the long-term positions.
Filling two of the long term.
Two of the long term.
For the end of the term, and then the one just until this November's election.
Got it.
But it could be that they'll win in the primary if they get more than 50% of the vote, right? City
Yes.
clerks? So we really can't nail it down. I would say that we should say that if someone wins in the primary, that they would take that position
Well,
then.
by operation of law, that seat would be filled by the qualified successor.
So, I mean,
Mr.
to
Dowling's
appoint
seat.
that one, if we don't meet in August, the primary is on August 30th, maybe we should wait and appoint that person if no one gets that amount in the primary.
That one, the seat that ends in November? That makes sense.
Right, the Jesse
We'll operate
Dowling's
with
seat.
6 instead of 7 until the primary.
Right, and then then we could appoint someone for 3 months and
Yes.
wait till November if we would like to do that, to
Sounds
fill
good.
us out to 7. But they would barely go to a meeting or two before the election might change things.
Yeah, I'll be fine with that.
It gets convoluted and complicated a little bit because
Madam Mayor,
it's-
you have no idea.
Yeah, I know. So, is that all okay with Mr. Hudigi? Sound like a plan? Okay, so we would ask members of the public now to have an opportunity to comment on what you would like to see us do, or... Yes, Ms. Althaus?
You answered a few of my questions because, as some of you know, I am running for city council, and my city council plaques and posters and everything should be here Friday. So you answered a few of my questions about the interim, but I'm curious, Marianne, when will the packets be available? I mean, we're talking, have everything in by the 16th.
I know, it's very short, so that's...
Can I stop by tomorrow?
No, they won't be ready tomorrow.
Do you have like a target date when you think?
We try by Friday.
Okay, okay. And then with no signatures or anything like that, this is more like an application for
This
our-
is just,
Okay.
right,
That was
right.
it.
Just your own
It's an
signature.
appointment.
Okay, yeah, you answered my other questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So anybody that is already running for office, or any other person in the community, you have to be a resident of the city, you have to be
A registered voter.
a registered voter.
You cannot have been convicted of a felony, and if you have to have your civil rights restored. You have to have been a resident of the state for, I forget how many years, there's a time period before, but essentially the qualifications to be appointed to the council would be the same qualifications that are required in order to run for office.
So you'll have a cover letter
Yes.
that explains all of that as you
Yes.
do so well. Okay.
Let's go forward with it.
Okay, so get that, maybe by tomorrow, get that stuff submitted to the newspapers, get it up on Facebook, and any other means. Create a poster and put it in the rec center, in the library, and wherever else people congregate. Okay.
And word of mouth.
And word of mouth. Let your neighbors and friends know about the opportunity.
And Doug and Mary Ann, I'll get together with you, and we can figure out a time we can put together the questions. Good.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
And we will.
Just to refine and elaborate on what Mary Ann said about the qualifications, in the
Okay.
context of an election, ARS 9232 says a person shall not be a member of a city or town council unless at the time of the election, and these are the qualifications for holding office, the person is 18 years old, is a qualified elector residing within the city or town at the time of the election, and has resided in the city or town for 1 year next preceding the election. And then there's some language that goes on about annexed areas that I don't think applies.
Oh, so applicants have to have lived in the city the year prior?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
We have some
And I thought that
applicants
was
now
worthy
that
of
it's
clarification.
haven't. I didn't know that was a rule. Okay, so I think we're good, and thank you all for your work on that. And we need to accept the resignations of Mr. Dowling, Mr. Garrison, and Mr. Elinsky.
I move to accept the resignations from the Cottonwood City Council of Jesse Dowling, Tim Alinsky, and Randy Garrison.
Second.
Mr. Pratt made the motion, and the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and we want to say thank you very much for your service over these years and wish you the best of everything in the future. So thanks for a lot of dedication, reading a lot of packets, a lot of information. If you counted up the number of words that you've read serving on city council, that would be a lot. And our packet tonight was 500 and some pages, if you didn't notice when you looked on the web. So yes, it's a lot of work to serve on the city council. I think everyone will agree that that is true if you really do your job right. So, okay, thank you very much on that. And claims and adjustments.
Move we pay the claims.
Second?
Okay, the vice mayor made the motion. Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and I move we adjourn.
Second.
The mayor made the motion. The vice mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
So if we give a conflict, we can't do it.